Hi, my name is Terry, and you're watching Terry Tells the Story. In 214 BC, the Roman Republic sent its massive fleet to wipe out a city called Syracuse. They had the best soldiers, the biggest ships, and the most momentum in the world. They expected a wall of spears. Instead, they ran into a 70-year-old man who had turned his entire city into a giant automated killing machine. His name was Archimedes. He wasn't a general or a soldier. He was a guy who was so obsessed with math that he'd forget to eat or even bathe. But when the king sent him to protect the city, Archimedes stopped drawing circles and started building nightmares. Archimedes didn't just wake up one day and build a cannon. He spent his life obsessed with leverage. He was the first person to realize that with the right mechanical advantage, a single human could move a mountain. He proved it to the king by inventing the Archimedes screw, a giant corkscrew inside a pipe. By just turning a handle, he could pull thousands of gallons of water uphill out of a leaking ship. It was the first time anyone realized you could use physics to do the work of 1,000 men. That one idea, that a machine could multiply human strength, is what eventually killed the Roman Navy. When the Romans tried to bring their ships up the sea wall, Archimedes revealed the claw. This wasn't just a crane, it was a masterpiece of tension and counterweights. Behind a hidden wall were massive wooden beams on pivots. When a ship got close, the beam would swing out, dropping a giant iron grappling hook. Because of the way Archimedes calculated the leverage, a small team of men pulling a rope inside the city could lift 100-foot Roman warships straight out of the water by their noses. Once the ship was vertical, they'd trip a release hatch. The ship would slam back down into the sea with so much force that it would shatter the hull or flip the boat upside down. The Romans were literally being fished out of the ocean like trout. Archimedes was playing with steam 2,000 years before the Industrial Revolution. He built a copper tube with a closed end that sat inside a furnace. Once the copper was glowing red hot, he'd inject a small amount of water into a chamber behind a stone ball. The water didn't just boil, it exploded into steam. That instant pressure built up behind the stone until it blasted out of the barrel at nearly 200 miles per hour. It was a sniper rifle of plumbing. The Romans would be sitting a kilometer away, thinking they were safe, and suddenly a 30-pound rock would punch through their deck and sink the ship instantly. They were being hit by artillery they couldn't even see. The most terrifying weapon was the one that didn't use any moving parts at all. Archimedes knew that bronze shields could act like mirrors. He lined up hundreds of soldiers on the wall and had them all face their reflections at one spot on a Roman ship's mast. By concentrating all that sunlight into a single point, he created a thermal hotspot that reached hundreds of degrees. The wood would start to smoke, then glow, and then the entire ship would spontaneously combust. The Romans were so paranoid that if they saw a piece of rope or a piece of wood sticking out over the wall, they would panic and flee, convinced that Archimedes was about to magic them to death. Archimedes held off the most powerful army on earth by himself for 2 years. He made the Roman Republic look like a joke. The Roman general was so impressed, he ordered his men to bring Archimedes to him alive. But when the city finally fell, an illiterate Roman soldier walked into Archimedes' house. The old man was sitting on the floor drawing math diagrams in the dirt. He didn't even look up. He just said, "Don't disturb my circles." The soldier, so insulted that this old man wasn't bowing to him, drew his sword, he lost his temper, and killed him on the spot. Rome won the war, but they killed the only man who could have given them the technology to rule for another 5,000 years. Archimedes didn't need an army. He just needed his workshop and a physics problem to solve. He proved that the most dangerous thing on a battlefield isn't a sword. It's a guy who knows how to use a lever. He didn't die for a king. He died because he was too busy with a math problem to care that his world was ending. So, the Spanish I'm going to be teaching you today is la maquinaria. la maquinaria, and what that means is the machinery. If you like this video or learned something new, drop a like down below. If you have a specific topic that you'd like to see me cover, drop me a comment. And if you'd like to support this work that I do, there'll be a link to the Cash App in the description box below. We'll see you next time.